If you are motivated to get into apologetics but feel terribly intimidated by the sheer amount of information there is to master, this video is for you. I will share with you 3 tips as well as a practical guide for how you can invest 4 hours of your weekly free time in order to grow in apologetics quickly and effectively. My name is Lucas and this is my apologetics channel Deflate. Thank you for joining me. First, if you're passionate about apologetics, I'd like to challenge you to educate yourself on Theology First, and here is why. If you want to grow in defending the faith, you also want to grow in your knowledge of the faith. This may not be exactly what you want to hear, and you may feel tempted to skip that part as you feel like you've acquainted yourself enough with Christian doctrine through the years at church. But educating yourself theologically and biblically is absolutely key if you want to defend the faith well. However, that doesn't mean that you can't start studying apologetics at the same time, and I will show you why in the end. I highly recommend Mike Winger's channel as a great resource to get biblical and theological teaching. Mike's material is not only super solid but very accessible, and I believe you'll enjoy his content greatly. The exact same can be said of Alan Parr, who offers clear and concise teaching on various theological issues. And on Reasonable Faith, you'll find the Defenders class in which William Lane Craig takes you step by step through the key doctrines of Christianity. Craig's material has a more philosophical and theoretical touch than Mike's or Alan's, but he still does a fabulous job in helping you think clearly through the most fundamental concepts of Christianity. I've also listed a couple of theology books in the video description, so check them out. But let me encourage you too to keep pressing on in your own personal engagement and wrestling with Scripture. I know it's not always easy to get up in the morning and spend time in the Word, but discipline yourself to make this a priority in your life, as it's really the foundation for anything you do as a disciple, including apologetics. Another key thing you want to do is regularly engaging with non-Christians in discussions about the faith. And I don't mean on YouTube or Facebook, but in real life. Talking apologetics in actual conversations, even when you haven't got a ton of knowledge yet, will be absolutely invaluable. Apologetics is not about acquiring knowledge, though that's an important part of it. It's ultimately about being able to apply and articulate in your own words and in different settings and situations the knowledge you've acquired. And that's something you can start doing from day one, because you want to learn how to apply in real conversations even the basic knowledge you've got. Yes, I know it's challenging and you might feel like you're not at all ready yet, but be courageous and just do it. If you don't know the answer to a question you're being asked, just be honest about it, go and research about the topic and get back to the person later. Believe me, the things you're going to learn through specifically targeted research in response to stuff you didn't know in real life conversations are the things you'll probably never forget, whereas the stuff you learn by just doing general reading is usually harder to remember. Now on to studying apologetics. On YouTube, I'd highly recommend the show Unbelievable by Justin Brierley, who brings together Christians and non-Christians for debate. You'll learn a ton from watching these discussions, as they provide you with all the key arguments and counter-arguments regarding a given issue. The exact same is true of the channel Capturing Christianity, run by Cameron Bertuzzi, who does a fabulous job in bringing Christians and atheists together for highly engaging and very informative interactions with really friendly vibes. He also conducts interviews with top scholars on topics such as the resurrection or the fine-tuning of the universe, which make for fantastic resources. Inspiring Philosophy is another great platform with very solid and well-produced content, while John from What Do You Meme offers spot-on analysis of cultural and political issues from a Christian perspective. Now, I'm aware that at this stage in my video you might feel overwhelmed yet again with all the stuff you could check out. Don't worry, we will get to how to deal with that in a minute. I just want to briefly say something about books. There are loads of good introductory books on apologetics, many of which I've listed in the video description as well. Let me highlight 3 of them. True for You But Not For Me by Paul Copan treats some 30 of the most often heard objections against Christianity and takes you through the answers in short, clear and easy to understand chapters. The book Why Does God Allow Evil by Clay Jones is arguably the best book on the problem of evil, definitely a must read. And John Lennox's book Can Science Explain Everything is a good primer on science and faith. Now let's get to the $1 million question. How can you navigate the endless amount of resources and things you feel like you should do to grow in apologetics? Here is my little game plan for you. First, Decide on the amount of hours you can commit each week to learning apologetics intentionally. Try to live up to your commitment and, if possible, ask a friend to hold you accountable. Now, if you have, let's say, 4 hours available, I'd suggest you split up your time as follows. 1.5 hours reading both theology and apologetics. I don't know about you, but I find it helpful to read 2 or more books over a period of time instead of working through only one single book at the given time. The reason is that on some days I feel more like reading in one field, while at other times I'm more in the mood to continue my studies in another area. And that's the reason you can work on building a strong theological foundation without having to wait to build your knowledge in apologetics. Thus, my recommendation: pick up a theology book and an apologetics book and work through them for 1.5 hours each week. Try to spend 1 hour in real-life conversations and discussions which revolve around an apologetics topic. Again, real-life conversations, not online interactions in the YouTube comment section. It's not that online commenting is categorically bad. Well, sometimes it is. But I'd say that when it comes to actually learning and growing in apologetics, it's by far not as effective as face-to-face conversations. Spend another hour on one of the Christian YouTube channels I've mentioned. You might want to write down the stuff you learn, as this is already good practice for putting things into your own words. This leaves 30 minutes. Spend them interacting with content made by atheists, either through books or media content. Check out any of the big atheist YouTubers or podcasts, or read a book like God Is Not Great by Christopher Hitchens. You may find this threatening at first, but believe me, this will really train your apologetics muscles as you expose yourself to the sources which shape atheist thought. Now, in all of your learning, be patient with yourself, have a long-term outlook, and don't expect yourself to master everything within 3 weeks. Also, while it's okay to be inspired by others, don't compare yourself to them, which is very unhealthy on all sorts of levels. If you want to compare or compete with yourself and try to advance from one week to the next. In the end, you want to be a faithful steward of the talents and capacities God has given you, and you don't want to let pride or envy towards those with more or less knowledge than you distract you. Now, if you want to dive into things right away, I suggest you watch my top response video to Cosmic Skeptics' biggest argument against Christianity, or check out the video down here which walks you through the Trinity, the ultimate foundation for understanding the God of the Christian faith. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.